Welcome back, guys. It's about lecture 3, and today we will talk about the project management process. The contents of this lecture is common project management processes, interactions, project management process groups, initiating process group, planning process group, executing process group, monitoring and controlling process group, closing process group, project information, role of the knowledge areas, and at the end you will have quiz number 2 and task number 2. Project management is the application of knowledge, skills, tools, and techniques to project activities to meet the project requirements. This application of knowledge requires the effective management of the project management process. A process is a set of interrelated actions and activities performed to create a specific product, service, or result. Each process is characterized by its inputs, the tools and techniques that can be applied, and the resulting outputs. Also, we have a theory or knowledge, which means good practice. So good practice means there is a general agreement that the application of project management process has been shown to enhance the chances of success over a wide range of a project. Also, we have understanding. Good practice does not mean that the knowledge, skills, and process described should always be applied uniformly on all projects. For any given project, the project manager, in collaboration with the project team, is always responsible for determining which processes are appropriate and the appropriate degree of rigor for each process. The project processes are performed by the project team with stakeholders interaction and generally fall into one of two major categories. First stage is about the project management process. This process ensures the effective flow of the project through its life cycle. This process encompasses the tools and techniques involved in applying the skills and capabilities described in the knowledge areas. The second stage is about the product-oriented processes. This process specifies and creates the project's product. Product-oriented processes are typically defined by the project lifecycle and vary by application area, as well as the phase of the product lifecycle. The scope of the project cannot be defined without some basic understanding on how to create the specific product. For example, various construction techniques and tools need to be considered when determining the overall complexity of the house to be built. Project management processes are grouped into 5 categories, known as the project management process groups, or just process group. So first is initiating process group. Here, those processes performed to define a new project or a new phase of the existing project by obtaining authorization to start the project or phase. Second one is planning process group. Those processes require to establish the scope of the project, refine the objectives, and define the course of action required to attain the objectives and the project was undertaken to achieve. Third one, executing process group. Those processes performed to complete the work defined in the project management plan to satisfy the project specifications. And the fourth one is monitoring and controlling process group. This process is required to track, review, and regulate the progress and performance of the project. Identify any areas in which changes to the plan are required, and initiate the corresponding changes. Last one is about the closing process group. Those processes performed to finalize all activities across all process groups to formally close the project or phase. Guys, take your attention that by these 5 categories you will have a quiz, and at the end of this lecture I will explain what quiz you will have. Common project management process interactions. The project management processes are represented to discrete elements with well-defined interfaces. However, in practice they overlap and interact in ways that are not completely detailed in documents. Here is the level of process interaction with the collaboration of time. So initiating process group starts here, and planning process group, executing process group, you can see it flow, monitoring and controlling process group, it's here, and closing process group, it is these dots. And project management process groups. These 5 process groups are independent of application areas or industry focus. The project management processes are linked by specific inputs and outputs, where the result or outcome of one process becomes the input to another process, but not necessarily in the same process group. The process group are not project lifecycle phases. In fact, it's possible that all process groups could be conducted within a phase. As the projects are separated into distinct phases or some sub-components, such as a concept development, feasibility study, design, prototype, pilot, or test. All of the processes, all of the process groups will normally be repeated for each phase or sub-components alone. Here in detail explained all these 5 categories. So initiating process contains like project objectives, PM identified, constraints, authorization, and after initiating process it's planning. Here we'll talk about the statement of work, project plan, project glossary, assumptions, constraints, and critical success factors, project plan updates. After planning, it goes together, it's controlling and executing. In controlling, it's performance, plan change request, change management results, issues management results, and in executing, it's project deliverable acceptances and actual effort and completion data, change requests and issues. After all this, it comes for closing, and in closing we see we met requirements like product and vendor evaluations, acceptance, documentations, legal contract, budget, project achieves, redeploy resources, and so on. Here in detail it's explained, it's workflow of all these 5 categories and how it's going on, how it will be flowed. Initiating process group. The initiating process group consists of this process performed by defining a new project or new phases of an existing project by obtaining authorization to start the project or phase. Within the initiating process, the initial scope is defined and initial financial resources are committed. A project boundary is defined as a point in a time that a project or project phase is authorized to its completion. Large complex projects should be divided into separate phases. A process evaluating alternatives may be utilized by determine the feasibility of a new undertaking. And let me see it. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Okay, planning process group. The planning process group consists of those processes performed to establish the total scope of the effort, define and refine the objectives, and develop the course of action required to attain those objectives. The planning process develops the project management plan and the project documents that will be used to carry out the project. The complex nature of the project management way requires the use of repeated feedback loops for additional analysis. Also, other interactions among the process within the planning process group are depend upon the nature of the project. Executing process group. The executing process group consists of those processes performed to complete the work defined in the project management plan to satisfy the project specifications. This process group involves coordinating people and resources, managing stakeholders' expectations, as well as integrating and performing the activities of the project in accordance with the project management plan. Monitoring and controlling process group. The monitoring and controlling process group consists of these processes required to track, review, and orchestrate the progress and performance of the project. Identify any areas in which changes to the plan are required. They initiate the corresponding changes. The monitoring and controlling process group involves controlling changes and recommending corrective and preventive action in anticipation of possible problems. Monitoring the ongoing project activities against the project management plan and the project performance measurement baseline. Influencing the factors that could circumvent integrated change control or configuration management so any approved changes are implemented. This continuous monitoring provides the project team insight into the health of the project and identifies any areas requiring additional attention. Closing process group. The closing process group consists of these processes performed to conclude all activities across all project management process groups to formally complete the project phase or contractual obligations. This process group, when completed, verifies that the defined processes are completed within all the process groups to close the project or project phases. As appropriate, they formally establishes that the project or project phase is complete. Here is some information about at project or phase closure. The following may occur. Here we will talk about when the project will close, what kind of situation may be occurred. So first one is obtain acceptance by the customer or sponsor to formally close the project or phase. Conduct post-project or phase and review. Phase and review. Record impacts of tailoring to the process. Document lesson learned. Apply appropriate updates to our organization process assets. Achieve all relevant project documents in the project management information systems. To be used as historical data. Close out all procurement activities, ensuring termination of all relevant agreements. Perform team members assessment and realize the project resources. Project information. The life cycle of the project is significant amount of data and information is collected, analyzed, transformed, and distributed in various formats to the project team members and other stakeholders. Project data are collected as a result of various executing the process and are shared within the project team. The collected data are analyzed in context and aggregated and transformed to become project information during the various controlling process. The information may then be communicated verbally or stored and is distributed as reports in various formats. Here is description in detail, the project information. Role of the knowledge areas. As we all know, according to PM book, we have 47 PM processes, and these processes are scattered among 5 process groups and 10 knowledge areas. Initiating 2 processes. In initiating, we have 2 processes. In planning, 24 processes. In execution, 8 processes. Monitoring and controlling, 11 processes. Closing, 2 processes. It's very obvious that initiating and closing process groups are not the ones that causing confusion here, since both of them has 4 processes in total, which leaves us with 3 process groups to focus on. You don't have to memorize all 47 process names. You just want to focus on some flash words such as plan, estimate, perform, develop, control, and validate. Plan. 11 processes have this word in its description. So, how you see, almost all processes, 10 processes have this word on their description. First one is develop project management plan. It's here. Plan scope management, plan schedule management, plan cost management, plan quality management. So all 11 processes have the word plan in their description. Estimate. 3 processes have this word in its description. So estimate activity resources, estimate activity duration, estimate costs. All of the mentioned above process belongs to the planning process group. Okay, let's continue. Perform. 4 processes have this word in its description. Perform integrated change control, perform quality assurance, perform qualitative risk analysis, perform quantitative risk analysis. The first one belongs to monitoring and controlling process group, and that because it has the control word. Perform quality assurance goes under the executing process group, and the last two belongs to the planning process group. Develop. 4 processes have this word in its description. Develop project charter, develop project management plan, develop schedule, develop project team. All of the mentioned above processes belong to the planning process group, except for the develop project team belongs to the executing process group. And develop project charter, it belongs to initiating process group. Control. 10 processes have this word in its description. Monitoring and monitor and control project work. Perform integrated change control. Control scope, control schedule, control cost, control quality, control communication, control risk, control procurement, control stakeholders engagement. All of the mentioned above process belongs to the monitoring and controlling process group. The good news that 10 of 11 processes in the monitoring and controlling has the word control. Validate. Only one process has this word in its description. Validate scope. Belongs to monitoring and controlling process group. Sorry for quality. Here it's a table of project management process groups. Okay, I will explain it by the end of the slides. The PM book Git also distinguishes process as 9 knowledge. Yeah, you can see it here. So, it's end of the lecture, and it's time to explain the quiz. So, you will have quiz number 2. Your task is to select one project from your social life. It can be non-IT project. Prepare project documentation by table, project management process group, and knowledge area mapping by your own format. All process must be included in details and described in details. If you want, you can select another methodology. You can select Kaizen, Six Sigma, Scrum, Personal. It depends on you. Next week on practice time, you need to prepare on PDF or Word format with all team members' name and surname. So, it is your quiz number 2. So, you have to describe one project from your social life by using table. Table, call it project management process group, and knowledge area mapping. That's all. And you can ask, what is the table? What kind of table we have to use? Here is example of table, process group, and knowledge area mapping. Here you can write your project, your information by your own format. I think it's clear. For me, it was clear. Okay. Then, task number 2. You need to upload 4 videos on your YouTube channel from next week. So, it starts on this time. So first video at the beginning of the week. What are you planning to do as a team and personally about your project, I mean. Second video at the end of the week. What you have done as a team and personally for your project, what you have done with your team and personally. It means that your team member have to explain it personally, not project manager have to explain all the process. Like project manager project manager can start the video, and each team members have to explain by each team members have to explain it personally. Third video at the beginning of the week. What are you planning to do as a team and personally? Fourth video at the end of the week. What you have done as a team and personally. Then, till 21st February, the project manager must upload in Google Form, which I will share on 20th February to Telegram channel, document with a link to 4 videos and a small report of the general project. Take notes, guys, that I will check dates by YouTube uploaded days. So I think it's clear. If you have a question, you may contact me. It will be good if you will have some discussion with your team and project manager will ask your questions. Not all the members. It will be hard to answer for all of you. So if you have question as a team, so project managers, you are welcome to ask it from me by social media, WhatsApp, Telegram, Gmail, and so on. It's end of third lecture, so see you next week. Goodbye, guys.